This is one of my favorite questions. What do you wish you would have learned from your parents about relationships?
What I wish I would have learned.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is, I would like to understand a lot more of what compromises did they have to make to maintain a relationship, to have had a 40 plus year marriage. Who gave up what? Who made the decision to say, okay, we want to move here or do that? Was it job related? What sacrifices did one or the other have to give to say, okay, we're going to continue to make this relationship, or we're going to do this so we stay together? Because if there was an argument between my parents about potential infidelity or strain or whatever, it never came out to us as kids. We never heard it.
Right.
We didn't see any of it. So to have that and being as close as a family as we are, it's okay, you guys had to have had these conversations at some point. They both worked. We're kids, we all went to school, so I don't see my dad call my mom while she's at the hospital to have this conversation. So it was usually late nights bedroom talk, or as we got older, we got out, but these conversations occurred at some point. And it's kind of curious to say, okay, what did you guys really discuss, and was there any time that you guys really came to close to splitting, and how did you get around it? See, it's those backroom conversations that we don't see in the public. That's usually between a couple, and how did they survive all that time?
Yeah, kids are not privy to that. It's really interesting. A marriage can be a long relationship like that, and when even the people in the household, it's such an intimate thing. You oftentimes don't know those private conversations, and I do think sometimes it's a mystery as to how people make it work. I will say that, like in my own relationship, we don't make a big deal out of the little things, and we do things for each other. And so, I mean, you saw me ask my husband, oh, can you make the coffee? And then it looked like he was busy, and so I'm like, oh, don't worry about it. I'll make it. I wasn't like, oh, you didn't. I see people getting so angry over the littlest things that sometimes are inconsequential. And so when you are just there for your partner and you two kind of support each other, it becomes this easy sort of synergistic thing that happens. And I think that that's really, really important. I think probably friendship is number one, is you got to be able to laugh about a lot of
have
things.
to.
You have to be able to laugh. And then if you're going through something, you have to be able to talk
about
through.
it. Communication is always going to be key, and without it, you're destined to fail one way or the other.
Yeah.
And you want to hold in a resentment for so long and not bring it up, and just hold it, and guess what? It's going to spill over at some point, and then you're going to really dislike and resent that individual for probably the smallest of things that has nothing to do what's really bothering you. So
yeah, people bring in their shit into relationships, and we all do, right? I always say it's like Santa. You got some gifts in there, but you got some lumps of coal too. Santa's bag. And so if you're not able to talk and laugh with your partner, it's so hard, because there are a lot of things that will happen that you're like, this is so bad. You have to be able to kind of talk it through. But it is, as a therapist, I always think, I wonder what, our kids think, like, what are they learning from us? And I probably should ask them that, because, so much in a marriage is it is private, even though you're like in front of your kids all the time. And I'll get clients who'll say, I never saw my parents argue. And if I did, it was like once or twice. And And it's because they never got to see their parents talk anything through. They had no idea.
Then you wonder why all of a sudden they get divorced. And it's like, what just happened?
What happened? Yeah. And I have some clients where it's truly devastating for them, their parents divorcing. And I'm not just talking, like, it seems to hit my clients who are adults almost worse than it does when they're kids.
Really?
Unless one of the parents decided not to show up, and the parents divorce, and then one of them is absent. That's my cameraman coughing. He doesn't have COVID, thank God. Speaking of very intimate relationships, it's like the guy behind the camera. Relationships can be a mystery to a lot of folks. And so I think you're saying, how do you compromise? What things do you need to do? And I can tell you what the research says is that John and Julie Gottman, John is the main researcher, but and I think John's been married, like this is his third marriage, and he got it right with Julie. They've been married quite a while, I think over 30 years. But there are they call them the Four Horsemen. And if these things show up in your argument, you can predict with 94% accuracy, you're either going to break up if you're in the relationship or you're going to divorce. It's contempt. Contempt is the worst. Contempt is like condescension and sarcasm and nastiness. It's like, I don't know what's wrong with you. You just are crying about everything, but you know what? You're just sad and sorry, and I don't have time for it. That's, obviously I don't mean that with Gary, but contempt, criticism, defensiveness, and the last one is stonewalling. Stonewalling, I think it's really a bad one. I'll have clients who will say that their partner didn't talk to them for a week. I mean, you're just setting yourself up for divorce. I mean, literally. So those are the 94% accuracy that you're going to divorce. That's a hell of a stat, isn't it?
That's quite a stat.
Yeah. So really watch those things. That's really important. So probably that wasn't showing up in your parents' marriage. And if it did, it was probably in very small doses.
Actually, it's a good thing to put towards dating too, is to put any of those things in there. It's like, yes, nope. Yeah. People who, who don't want to talk things through and they just give you the silent treatment, it's punishing to your partner. I think Stonewall is the first one you're going to get in most dating in the first place. It's like, the one that never calls back, or I'll respond to that one later type of thing. It's like, okay, there's not a commitment going on in there someplace.
Yeah, that they can just detach so easily. And so it just, I think that it really tortures the person who's on the other end of it, and it's almost like they're not there. They just pretend like they're not there. And so, they say contempt is the worst. I think second worst is stonewalling. Stonewalling is bad. So what are your top 3 qualities you value in yourself? And I was teasing him about this. I'm wondering if you're not going to say it, because he's in finance, so I predicted he's going to say this one thing that he values in himself.
Expect me to say logic.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll switch it up a little bit on that one. It's probably practicality.
That was the second one I was
really?
saying. I swear to Buddha. Yeah.
Practicality, loyalty, and God knows I try to be honest as much as possible, or at least honest when I'm talking with people and having conversations. Big part of my personality is I'm also a guardian, so which causes me a lot of problems in relationships, because it's not like I'm overbearing, I'm looking out. It's like I'm more willing to look after or keep an eye out.
So you're like a protector.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of women really like that.
It makes you a best friend though.
No, it doesn't. It's a really, I'm going to disagree with that because it's a quality I keep hearing that women want. I think that some men have forgotten to, if you're dropping a woman off, walk her to her door. Just don't buy, and then, or watch her walk to the door instead of just taking off. Like those kinds of little things are just lost. I mean, it really irks me that those things are kind of, going by the wayside. And it's like it doesn't even enter into some guy's head. So the fact that you're a protector, awesome.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like some just simple mannerisms with dates, and I say it because I've gotten a response for it lately in a few dates that I've been on. The simple fact is like they commented after a couple times like, "You always open my door for me, like open the car door when they're getting in. I may not get out to go ahead and open your door on the way out, but it's like if I'm walking up to the car and open the ladies' door, they get in the whole 9 yards." So much so that they made a comment on it, and it kind of hit me in the back of the head. It's like, why are you even commenting on something like this? To me, it's an occurrence. It's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I just consider it as it's courtesy. It's what you're supposed to do. But
there's something about
so I find a lot of it's missing.
Great. It really is. I mean, Kevin and I have been married for 27 years, and we've been living together 33 years. I should know this. I think it's 33. I always have to yell and ask him, "Hey, how long?"
Is he listening?
But he still opens my car door, which is really, really nice. It just is so sweet and kind. I love it. And it's just, he's been doing it our whole marriage.
It's just become second nature.
Yeah, it's really, it's one of those things that, as a woman, you just feel very feminine. There's just nice things like opening a door. It just feels nice. I mean, I hold the door open all the time for people, but when it's your partner, your lover, the person that you have eyes for, it's just wonderful. So that's a good thing. Don't friend zone somebody who does that.
Well, no one's opening my car door, so I won't have that opportunity.